Hello there. I hope you're having a great time. This is Danette. And what I'm going to do today is, first of all, say hello and how are you doing? Thank you for all of you who have subscribed to the channel. My request is that if you haven't yet subscribed, that you go ahead and click on the subscribe button and notifications and all the things to help build this channel. The last time we talked about several things. We talked about a robe, a minister's robe for my pastor husband. We talked about completing the hemline of the bridal gown. We talked about the green skirt in the background right there. And the top that goes with it. We talked about using Nancy Zieman tools from her pattern fitting book, Pattern Fitting with Confidence, and how we need to make the adjustment on the top of the pattern for the skirt for this two-piece pattern back there. And so I'm working on that. So that's what we're going to be showing you today, how to make those adjustments, especially if you have a more developed bust line. So I'm going to take myself off the camera and show you some things in the book from Nancy Zieman, and then I will show you the first half of the top adjustment for this top that goes with this skirt. So hold on one moment. Okay, so if you remember from Nancy Zieman's book on how to make an adjustment to a top, she's got all kinds of adjustments in here for pattern pieces, ready-made patterns, which is another reason why I rather prefer to draft a pattern with measurements that for it to fit the measurements already. But ready-made patterns don't have that luxury. There's always going to be some kind of adjustment that needs to be made because it is not made yet for a real person's body. So you're always going to have to make those adjustments. Okay, so let's see here. Basic fitting changes. This is what we want. We want the bust line change. Remember how I shared with you about, let me bring this in a little closer. Remember how I shared with you about making this bust line adjustment, because you want to use your right size measurement, which is going to actually right here, your right size measurement, which is going to coincide with how the garment fits around your neckline and your shoulder seam, so that there's not this gapping that happens, especially if you are more fully developed in your bust. My measurement is a 14 here, so I cut out a 14 on the pattern, which I am not a size 14, but my neckline and my shoulder required me to cut out a 14, and so I went ahead and made the adjustments as she suggested. And this is what we have here, and this is on the back. Both of these pieces are going to be cut out on a fold, but this is on the back, so we've gotten to this point. I made the adjustment, and you might say, well, how did you do that? Well, you trace out your pattern like I did. You trace out your pattern here. Okay, so you trace it out. I'll just lift it up because it's not taped down yet. You trace it out, and then you measure out from the bust line, which is where I needed to make the adjustment. You measure out the amount of the adjustment that you need, and then you take a pin. And you mark your 5/8 of an inch squared off here, and that's with any location that you're going to use. You just stick a pin in there, and you move your pattern piece out until it reaches that line that you need, the adjustment that you need. You draw in the new armhole, okay? And then you draw it down to your waistline. Now I needed to make an adjustment on the hip line as well. And so I had to also move it out to my hip line. So I made 2 adjustments on this one particular pattern piece. So now what I'm going to do, and what she suggests you do, is tape off Nancy suggests that you tape your pattern, your original pattern. Oops. Okay, hold on here. Let's get some light here. That you tape off your original pattern, tape it to your new adjustment spot. Okay, so I actually started here. I didn't change the shoulder width. I did not change the neck. I just adjusted for the bust here and down to my hip, okay? So I'm going to tape that off just a little bit. I tell you, this way is so much easier than some of the other challenging ways to make an adjustment on a pattern, but Nancy came up with a very easy way to do it. And so then what she suggests is that you simply cut your pattern. I'm cutting sideways, which is not too comfortable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this bottom part because use your paper scissors for paper and your fabric scissors for fabric. Otherwise, you will dull out your fabric scissors trying to cut paper. Okay, we'll just move this out the way. All right, so now if I can turn it this way. Are we recording? We are. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my pattern out. I'm going to go ahead and go up here a little bit and kind of okay, so there we are right there. And then you just cut out the new armhole. And the armhole is going to be the same size. You didn't change the shape of the armhole, though. You just made the adjustment for the bust line. Okay, so then we're just going to cut this off. And this is extra. So we're just going to cut this off here. Not much space here. And there you've got your new pattern piece. Okay, you got your new pattern piece. I'll probably just add a little bit of tape on the bottom of there. So we're going to do the same on the front. Again, these are, I'm just going to pin that on there. So you've got your back there. Okay, so let me walk you through the adjustment on the front now. I need a 2-inch adjustment all the way around. So I'm going to mark off 5/8 here. There's my 5/8 mark right there. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to measure 2 inches out from there because that's where I need to have I need my bust adjustment to be. Right there. So I'm going to take my pen. I need to make the same adjustment up here. Not adjustment, but the same measurement here at the shoulder seam. I need to mark that same 5/8 of an inch space at the shoulder seam. So this is where my pivot will be right here. Okay? Oh, before I do anything else, let me trace off my pattern. I'm just going to trace everything off. The pattern, the neckline. So this is going to be my original armhole here, and I'll use a different color after the measurement has been, the adjustment has been made. I'm just going to trace down to the waistline. That's what she suggests. Just trace to the waistline. Actually, for me, I need to go all the way down because I have to do a hip line adjustment as well. Yes, yes, yes. As well. Okay. All right. So we have everything traced off. So I've traced around the pattern piece. I've got the points of pivot here. So let's work with that. And I need one more on the waistline. Need one more on the waistline. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the bust line first. So I've got my space here. So we're going to take the pin. This is what she suggests you do. First, you take your pin and you put it in your shoulder seam pivot point because we're going to adjust for the bust, for the bust first. And so I'm just going to simply adjust my pattern piece until it hits this line right here. And then I'm going to am I tripping or did I not see a red? Okay, so we've got it to where we want it to be, and I'm going to simply mark out the new armhole. And it should always end right at the beginning up here, your starting point. Okay, and then I'm going to trace off Let me just use my ruler. Down to the waist. Okay, and that's where we need to be on that. So again, this is the new adjustment for the bust line. Okay, now I need to make the adjustment for my excuse me. You could do two things. You can either, because the pieces are the same, you can either adjust it from marking it out, or you can adjust it from your, pattern piece on the back, because they're the same. Okay, so, and I think that's what I'm going to do, just to make sure that they're the same. Maybe we won't do that. Okay, so then for the hip adjustment, my hip adjustment was, I think, 3 inches. Two and 3/4. Yeah, 2 1/4. So I need to measure out from this adjustment 2 1/4. Let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, 2 1/4. Ooh, that makes a difference. 2 1/4 from this point here. 2 1/4. So this is going to be my waistline adjustment. I mean my hip line adjustment here. So from the waistline then, I'm going to pivot from the waistline to the there we go. We got right here. All right. So it's all taped on here, so I don't need to really do anything except cut the extra off underneath my pattern. Okay. Okay, so there is the front. Fully adjusted for the bust, for the waistline and the hip. And then all we need to do is cut it out, and I will show you where we're at as far as that goes. All right, so we've got our front, we've got our back adjusted at the side for the bust seam here, for the hip line here, because the hemline falls below the waistline. This is my waistline. This is my hemline. The hemline falls on the hip in this pattern. So we've got that taken care of, as you can see here. So it falls right at the high hip. So I need to make that adjustment for that area on the back side. So we've done that. We're going to go ahead and cut this out in our fabric, which is here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We're going to go ahead and cut this out and add just the top without the sleeves to the mannequin so I can show you the progress of that.